Hello everybody, here we are today talking about the Columbus Blue Jackets and whether or not they can make the playoffs this year. And I want to say this right now, I'm not crazy. So before we get started with it, please make sure to subscribe if you're new to me or hockey, whatever the case may be. That being said, let's get on into it. So the Columbus Blue Jackets haven't made the playoffs since 2020 and have been what you'd expect from a rebuilding team. They have finished bottom of the division in the past 2 years and have had 4 head coaches over the past 5 seasons. And really didn't have, I think, a lot of big expectations going into the year. On top of that, too, they dealt with a lot of adversity entering the season with the fact they had a lot of young guys trying to get a grip in the NHL and getting more experience, but especially with the fact that they lost teammate Johnny Gaudreau, which was a huge blow to this team entering the year. However, I do want to talk about the fact that this team is actually looking like they could be much improved from last year, and it's promising considering all the things that have happened to them as a team, as they look set to improve by possibly as many as 16 points this year. In a spot right now where they might actually be in contention for a playoff position, as that final wildcard spot in the East is up for grabs. I know that's not typically normal for a team to hit like 84, 82 points around there and be in the postseason, but this is kind of a weird year, which is why we're bringing this up in today's video. So let's talk about some things that might be positive for this team and say maybe why they could go out there and make the playoffs. Well, things have been good for them in their past 5 games, as they have had 4 games where they scored 5 goals or more. Yes, that is correct. And they have got some good wins in that time. Notably, they had a 7-6 win over the Tampa Bay Lightning, and then recently last night beat the Carolina Hurricanes 5-4. And it is 2 notable wins against teams that should be or will be expected to finish above them in the standings this year that are really highlighting that as well. Then you have players like Zach Werenski, that is a good defenseman that's been battling injuries, had some quiet years, but has got that long-term extension and is now averaging a point per game, looking to kind of reintroduce himself in the NHL after, again, some down years. He recently had a 5-point night and has actually seen some good results on the PK this year. Damon Severson has also been providing relief on the blue line, had really good underlying numbers, and has, I think, 9 points on the season so far, kind of right about there, but has also been a huge stabilizing presence for this team at 5-on-5 play. And again, part of this blue line that is looking much more improved, although, again, we are always hoping that Zach Werenski could kind of get back to having a good, healthy year, but promising to see somebody like Severson having such a strong start to the season. And then you've got somebody like Kirill Marchenko that is young, that might be on pace to have his 3rd straight season with 20 goals or more, and then he's probably going to crack that and then some. Kind of interesting as well too, because he started off his career, I think, with the most goals ever before recording an assist. He's actually at a spot right now where he's got more assists than goals and is at a point per game pace. Life has been really good for him, especially the fact that he's been paired with Sean Monahan this year. They've outscored teams 26-11 when they've been paired together out there on the ice. And then I'll put this up here. It's pretty clear that Monahan is getting a lot of playing time with Marchenko, basically dwarfing a lot of minutes with everybody else, but I am very excited about that too, because you have Monahan on a longer term deal that is paired with a younger guy that is really looking like he's taking strides in his development this season and putting together a good part of this top line. And on top of that as well, you're seeing Monahan kind of be rewarded for that, as he's averaging a point per game too. Just one of those things that you're very thrilled about to see here, with a lot of good things happening for different players that you might not have expected. And then Kevin Labanc is actually on this team as well too, and is having kind of a good start to the season. So you're seeing some players that are already good kind of reestablishing themselves. You're seeing young guys that could have career years. And then you're also seeing these veteran guys that came over from other teams that you maybe didn't expect as much from this year, maybe going out there averaging over a point per game more. Monahan, will see, Labanc as well. I don't think you'd expect these guys to really contribute that much, but here we are. Again, these are big positives. And now we kind of get to go into the negatives here, and it doesn't take too long for us to find some negatives. November did not start very well for this team, as they opened it up with a 6-game losing streak. And this side, while they can score a lot of goals, have also been a team that's allowed a lot of goals. I think we did expect them to struggle in net, in particular Daniil Tarasov and then Elvis Merzlikins, that were part of a duo that was young for Daniil, and then for Elvis was a guy that kind of wanted out. So that's not really ideal. And then there have been kind of some discouraging losses. They had a 5-1 loss to Montreal in particular that does sting a little bit. Montreal is below them in the standings, and a 4-goal loss, I should say, by that amount is not really ideal. And then David Jiricek, who is expected to possibly be part of this blue line going forward in the future, especially with how high they drafted him. Excuse me, I'm getting tongue-tied there. Is very promising, or I should say, as I continue to get tongue-tied there, is very discouraging, considering the fact that he is probably set to be traded, and there's a little bit of drama there in Ohio. So a bad start to the month that kind of got saved by a good run of play recently. Still issues about allowing goals, and a team that could be dealing with a little bit of drama. So not everything is perfect in Ohio, and that is apparent. So this kind of all being brought up and talked about, do I think that the Blue Jackets are going to go out to the playoffs and make it? I don't think so, but I think the chance is certainly there this year. Again, the East and the bottom half of that kind of playoff push looks kind of weak this season, and there is that opportunity. Yes, I think that at some point these better teams should kind of reignite, wake up, and get back to playing that better hockey like we'd expect from them. But I think that the Jackets have their chances. I think my bigger concern is these teams that are expecting more for themselves might go out on the trade market and really try to make a push to get somebody big, which would be a big blow to Columbus, because you probably wouldn't expect them to go out there and try to make a big trade because their timeline doesn't match up with the timeline of somebody like, let's say, Boston or Tampa Bay. Now, the great news is here for the Jackets is the fact that they have some pretty good games that are winnable into the mid-December point, and then they have some really big matchups against teams like the Boston Bruins and the Tampa Bay Lightning towards the end of December. They actually have, I think, 3 games in the span of about a week between those two sides, and have a back-to-back against the Bruins. As again, I'm getting tongue-tied here, and I apologize, but those could be pivotal. And at the end of December, if they are still in the mix for the playoff conversation, that would be really promising for a team that has had to battle through so much this year, and I would say it would be a big credit to the team as they are trying to possibly make the playoffs for the first time since, again, 2020. So at the end of the day, I still think that this would be a positive season, even if they didn't make it. I think this would be a story of major perseverance, battling through some tough adversity, some unimaginable adversity, and then also be a year where you see a lot of player development, especially for the younger guys, which is really good. So this will be a weird story to follow for sure, but we'll see how things pan out here for the Jackets. And they look to be a team that I thought maybe they could have been last year, or they would have been in that low to mid 80 point total. Hopefully they don't fall off, because this has actually been a really fun storyline to follow, especially with them having those games that are very high scoring. You're saying, man, this is a barn burner for sure. So anyway, what are your thoughts on the Columbus Blue Jackets? Will they make the playoffs this year? Let me know down below in the comments. Also, please make sure to like this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new. Everybody stay safe. Have a great night. And you go love hockey, all right. Goodbye, Brigadiers and Brigadettes. This is your captain signing off. Have a great night.